Hey, we've been on this journey together as a community for quite a long time now, haven't we? But each time we've created a new patch, we've broke the previously established limits for the game time and time again. And for 2.0, this is no exception. So let's show you just what we've been up to.
No, this is nothing but being high. This is what being on cocaine feels like.
I don't understand. I don't understand. Oh my god. Does anyone understand?
Dear God, talk about overwhelming the player with mechanics.
The gameplay wouldn't be so bad had the controls not been absolutely
easy enough
horrible.
Until you try riding a
Having the
surfboard
opportunity to play with other people around the world that actually know how to play the game, playing the alternate modes, leaderboards, tournaments, what have you, if only.
You'll never be a match for me! What's wrong?
Whoa!
Whew! Woohoo! No point in going easy. I'm looking forward to this. My flame can penetrate anything! Let's finish you! What a nuisance.
Don't worry. I will protect you. I won't let the emeralds be used to bring destruction to this world again. I will do what I must. I'm sorry.
How can I make you understand?
Heaven's justice! I won't give up. I'm not alone. We will stop you! You've come a long way ever since you opened your heart to us. We are one with the Master Emeralds!
As seen in the previous segment, the new racers are decked out with full redesigns. You can tell we had a lot of fun with this. Some of them are quite radical since we had the opportunity to go hard. That's exactly what we did. I mean, hey, I say if you're going to put a character into Sonic Riders, you should do it with some style. Tikal's got an updated fit more appropriate for racing, but the biggest change was actually the hairstyle. After all, this is the first female echidna in a Sonic racing game, so we had to think about what changes would make sense for this type of character. Chaos, on the other hand, receives a more primal look. The rocks, twigs, and vegetation portray a being that comes from the distant past. His gear, the Hydrokinesis, is based on Chaos's evolutions, the prehistoric bones and emerald shards acting as the skeleton to an aquatic creature. I wanted to create a gear that gives off the effect that it's almost a part of Chaos, like as if he's fused or one with his gear. Metal got a scarf, because, you know. Eggman's the coolest character in the game for a reason. With Blaze, the team wanted to do something different. None of us were really fans of the zero-gravity attire. I know I was very much interested in giving her a completely new look. It started with using her Adventure 2 concept art as a base, and then playing into her lesser-seen role as a princess. The cape sleeves are a unique detail that top off her new look. This comes out to a fit that is both stylish and commands authority. Ultimately, I'm happy with the results, and I hope you are too. It was incredibly fun for the team to adapt these fan favorites into the rider's ethos. But with new characters comes new archetypes. We're gonna call this one Boost. Since vanilla, certain characters possess differing boost durations at certain levels. In SRTE, there was an attempt to flesh out what the original developers were going for. We're going to expand upon this idea, but go in a slightly different direction. It all started with the question of, what if the boost itself was enhanced, rather than the duration of it? And that's why this archetype specializes in boost retention. What does that mean? Well, actions that would normally cancel your boost retain the boost instead. Jumping, tricking, falling off a ledge, you'll retain your previous boost duration after performing those actions. This is actually more useful than you may think at a glance, potentially being more air efficient than archetypes that would boost for longer, because instead you'll be getting more value out of those boosts. They could even enhance properties of player interaction, and pull off stunts that wouldn't normally be feasible. Think of countering an attack by jumping to dodge it and then landing right back on top of your opponent to return the favor. Quite saucy, isn't it? When we brought Blaze into Riders, we examined the game she originally hailed from, Sonic Rush on the DS. Like boost characters, we wanted to shake up the normal conventions of character abilities, and go for something more inspired. So that's why the Trickster archetype specializes in acrobatic stats and technique. Increased trick animation speed, increased trick landing speed, and lower fast fall cost all fit the bill of an agile group of racers. This all culminates in their signature technique, the Super Leap. Press brake and jump to perform it. The jump propels you forward, which adds to your current speed, but then slows you down due to natural deacceleration. Think of it as a way to perform certain stunts, or a pouncing maneuver to blitz your opponent. It costs air to perform, might still be busted, but what do I know? After all, I'm just the idea guy. In all seriousness though, I know what some of you might be thinking. At first, you may look at this archetype and think that they're more stylish rather than immediately effective. However, their unique utility should allow them to shine in adept hands. These are the two archetypes that will comprise of all of the new characters that will be added to this patch. But we have plenty more where that came from. Over time, we expect at least 16 characters to be added to Tournament Edition, not including Excellence.
Tired of needing to type in the netplay chat and spend eons in the text channels? Introducing the all-new Tournament Mode! Tournament Mode in SRTE brings the banning process to you! Use X to ban stages following the standard banning methods and competitive rules. Wow! In the top right of the screen, it shows the amount of bans a player has left and how many wins each player has. So next time you and your pal go in a competitive tourney match, make sure to use the new Tournament Mode, coming to a patch near you. Skill and good choices not included. Or therapy session post set against the meta. Consult your nearest level 1 on how to cope. And my nerfs not included within the package. For more details, go to sonicriders.org/TE.
I'm using everything I've got!
That's right. Silver will be joining the World Grand Prix. You think we'd put Blaze in the game without Silver? Come on. But why did Blaze into Call show up first? Why did it seem like Silver had just made it in the nick of time? And most importantly, Who dripped him the fuck out with those shades? That'll all be explained in For Friends and Fate, a short comic giving you the inside scoop of events that lead up to the World Grand Prix. Written by Logic Mage and yours truly, and drawn by Lofi and Pepino Papimski. Say that 5 times fast. It's gonna be something unique. A fan-made comic based off of a fan-made mod. Can't lie, it's kinda based. Of course, you can check out this comic when it's completed on sonicriders.org. Cheers.
.2.0 is finally done, and my work is finished. Now that the patch is finally in the hands of the people, I'm sure absolutely nothing will go wrong. Yeah, go for Lodge.
Is this SRTE customer service?
No?
Okay, but you're a developer, right? So you can nerf Super Hang-On?
No, what? How did you even get this number?
What about Super Knuckles?
Okay, but we already tweaked him for 2.0.
Okay, yeah, but...
No, and you know what? I am sick and tired of you armchair casuals calling me up and trying to tell me how to balance this game. I mean, you're lucky you even get hotfixes these days. You want to go back to the Turbo Star meta for another year?
No.
Exactly. So shut up. Anyway, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Good. I'm gonna let you go now.
What about the video that you promised to make? You know, like the video essay about Sonic Riders, the community. Are you okay?
What? You thought this was my contrived way of announcing the video release date? You're so funny. Go back to listening to Protag's 5-minute spiel about magnetic impulse, you funny man. Yeah, you piece of
Pressing L while grinding on a rail or in fly state will now propel you forward. Instead of gaining air, it will be siphoned away instead. While specifically rail dash is in use, your hitbox will be active. Yes, this means you can attack opponents on the rail. However, attacking an opponent while in grind state will result in normal air ring loss, but no hit stun. So it's not like you're gonna get knocked off the rail or anything like that. It sounds a little unwieldy, but we're making many changes to grinding itself to make dodging attackers quite reliable. For example, the non-momentum jump will take away much more speed. This means that even when boosted with MI, you'll be able to dodge rail boosting attackers on more than 90% of rails in the game. You can also dodge a rail dasher by just using the rail dash yourself. Surprisingly, this interaction works out in Player 1's favor, as the aggressor will have been using rail dash for longer. So when both players finish using the rail, Player 1 comes out with an air economy advantage. Hoop dashing functions similarly, but without the whole attacking aspect. One thing that's notable about both mechanics is that they rapidly drain magnetic impulse. Overuse it, and you'll be tapped out of your second place blessings. One of the core concepts in Riders are type shortcuts. With speed, fly, and power, you can traverse through the stages in different ways, discovering new routes in the process. It builds off of the level design dynamic between Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles in the classics. But in Riders, with the exception of the power type, the implementation of this idea is seriously flawed, at least when you're viewing it in the scope of a competitive game. There are two main issues. Number one, type shortcuts tend to separate the two players from each other, not allowing for any manner of exchange for large portions of the map. And in the case of speed and fly dittos, despite using those same routes, their shortcuts put you in a state where both players are practically invincible. And then you have number two, type shortcuts being unengaging from a general gameplay perspective. Again, with the exception of power, which you control the pace and effectiveness of, speed and fly do not possess this depth. The automation is most egregious in the case of grinding a rail, which is essentially a cutscene. Rail and hoop dashing aims to lessen some of these issues, on one hand by contriving other type shortcuts to be more interactive, like power, and by making these mechanics more fun to use in general. We wouldn't want the newfound control to get out of hand, which is why we made sure to regulate it. Hoop dash especially has a lot of restrictions to make sure you can't completely break the game with it. As touched upon in my last direct, my philosophy is that games are generally more fun when you have a higher degree of control. It's doubly so important for a competitive esport where you'd want to have as much as what is going on in the game to be dictated by the player.
Children die! Children die!
Children die! Children die!
You're going to cherish this L, okay? Here you go, you can have it.
L canceling, or smooth landing, is a mechanic that adds depth to tricking. By pressing L or R 5 frames before collision with the ground, the player will guarantee a successful landing. Feel free to land on your head, you'll be just fine. Now, I must stress, the input must be timed within the 5 frames, as there is a 30-frame lockout window to punish mashers. A corresponding pulse effect will show the player that they've done it correctly. The inspiration for this was surprisingly not from the titular mechanic from Super Smash Bros. Melee, but rather a more niche GameCube title, called 1080 Avalanche. Funnily enough, this curious snowboarding game that predates Riders shares many similar ideas, such as charging up jumps for tricks and building gauges to do stuff. There's a mechanic in 1080 called Perfect Landing, which allows you to land successfully after tricks, regardless of the board's balance. As you could probably piece together, we pretty much recreated the perfect landing. But what does it actually achieve in the context of Riders? Well, for one, it allows players to perform normally impossible feats, such as squeezing an X rank while fast falling on certain ramps, or edging out one extra trick on the Legend gear for a speed boost. But it's a little bit more than that. It mainly aims to free up the way that players can perform tricks in general. In the same vein as Fastfall, it's simply meant to increase skill expression without harming the skill floor, as you could easily succeed in the game without utilizing it. Outside of the new mechanics, there are refinements to previous ones. Magnetic Impulse is Tournament Edition's signature comeback mechanic that did wonders for the game. The idea of MI is that it's supposed to pick up the slack where the other two comeback factors fail. In the 8 months that 1.4 has been out, MI has been perceived to be very strong. This is no surprise, as MI is directly based off of the power of Turbulence and Slipstream, which are two mechanics that are fundamentally flawed in a number of ways. Because there's many instances in the game where they happen to be ineffective or outright fail, often, this is why MI is so prominent ever since it was introduced. It made competition between closely skilled opponents much more exciting, essentially eliminating the style of game where one person makes a mistake, and then you sit there for 2 minutes and watch someone get time trialed on. But just because MI brought positive things to the game doesn't mean that it didn't bring negative things. Two things can be true at the same time, after all. The mechanic didn't come out perfectly, and of course it is subject to improvement. So we are taking steps to mitigate its more unintended and egregious aspects. For starters, MI now has a distance check. It's simple. If you get too close to your opponent, the current value freezes, holding it from growing any further. There is a strategy where players farmed MI while still remaining super close to their opponent. That was very frustrating for a lot of people, and this change basically diminishes that, or makes that strategy much less effective. You're going to have to make some distance between you and your opponent, creating a bigger, larger gap in the lead if you do want to farm MI. Next, when you use the Tornado Ignore mechanic, along with its air loss, it will also drain MI. Players who have high levels of MI can brute force their way through the NATO Ignore cost, and this change provides more consequence for that. Alright, and that concludes the Sonic Riders 2.0 Direct. There are many more changes coming to 2.0, and you'll be able to view the full patch notes on our website. With all that said, I hope you enjoyed this Sonic Riders Direct, and till next time, guys.
All this effort just to fail. How feeble.
Huh?
Sonic, I am here to save you.
Sonic, who is that?
It's Emerald. Tails.
So that's what you were working on. Talk about a lucky break.
You were just in the nick of time, buddy.
Data obtained.
Are we safe?
Yeah, don't worry. You see, Emerald, he's not a normal bucket of balls. He can copy the abilities of other racers.
Is replication complete.